Now, most people think that FP&A is all about number crunching, but the real truth is FP&A is more about critical thinking and logical decision making. It is about whether you can explain your work without opening an Excel file. So, in response to the question, how do you build your financial models? Most candidates panic or fumble while answering. They start talking about Excel formulas, dashboards, or flashy functions, but miss the one thing that they really care about, which is the logic. In this video, I'll show you how to answer this question like a pro using a simple lemonade stand example and a three-part framework I have used in my interviews. So let's dive in. Now, before we break down the right way to answer this question, let us first look at the different ways the interviewers might actually ask this in the interview. Can you walk me through a model that you have built from scratch? What is your typical approach to financial modeling? How do you go about structuring a model for a new business case? If I asked you to build a forecast model tomorrow, where would you start? What steps do you follow when building a financial model? Whichever way they phrase the question, they are really asking the same thing. Can you think clearly and communicate your approach? And that's where most candidates fall short. So let me show you why this question confuses so many people in the interviews. On a quick side note, at FP&A Professionals Institute, our mission is to help 1 million professionals master finance and FP&A skills. So if you're serious about FP&A, do check out our certified global FP&A professional program, the CGFPA certification. Link to download the brochure are given in the description below. Also, you can visit our website www.fpnaprofessionals.com or scan the QR code here for a bunch of free resources, including books, courses, and cheat sheets. So let us break it down. Most candidates don't mess up because they are bad at Excel. They mess it up because they can't explain their approach clearly. Some candidates start listing Excel formulas like VLOOKUP, index match, or functions like pivot tables. And other candidates directly jump into the outputs. For example, I built a PNL. I built a dashboard. But what is missing here? What is missing is the story, the logic, and the flow. Interviewers want to know that can you break down a business problem logically? Can you build something step by step that others can understand and use? So let me give you a shortcut, one that top performers use all the time. It is called the IPO framework: inputs, processing, and outputs. This process is very similar to the process when you are cooking your own meal. First, you gather all the ingredients, which are the inputs. Then you start mixing and cooking those ingredients, which is the process. And finally, you serve the dish, which is the output. Now, instead of overcomplicating things, you can use a very simple example to explain financial modeling in a very clear manner. Let us take an example. Let's imagine that you are helping your friend set up a lemonade stand business. You and your friend are planning to sell lemonades on weekends. You expect to sell about 50 cups a day for $3 each. And you've got some startup costs. For example, a table, a juicer, and a few signboards. Your ingredients include lemon, sugar, cups that cost around $1.2 per cup. And let us say that you are paying a rent of $200 per month to rent a small space in a park. Now your friend turns to you and asks you, can you build a financial model to see if this business actually makes sense and money? Now remember, you're not just building a spreadsheet. You're telling a story of a real business. So now that you understand the business, what it sells, how much it costs, and what it earns in profit, let us break it down the same way you would explain this in a FP&A interview. We'll walk through it using a simple three-part model: inputs, process, and outputs. So let us start with step number one, which are the inputs. Talking about step number one, which is the inputs, or in the language of financial modeling, it is called the assumptions tab. You start with the foundations, which are the assumptions. Some examples of your assumptions or drivers are price per cup, $3. Number of cups sold in a day, 50. Per cup, for example, cost of lemon sugar cups, $1.2. Standard rent per month, $200 a month. Keep this on its own in a separate tab. Color code the inputs in blue color. Add comments like based on last summer, based on benchmarking versus a nearby stand. Remember, you are not just doing modeling, you are documenting how you think. Once your assumptions are in place, it is now time to put them to work. Let us move to the next step, which is the actual engine of the model: process and calculations. In step number two, which is processing or calculations, also known as the engine room of the financial model, you are linking your assumptions to formulas. For example, revenue is equal to number of cups into the price per cup. Cost of goods sold is equal to cost per cup into number of cups. Gross profit is equal to revenue minus the cost of goods sold. This section should flow very logically without hard coding. Every output should be traceable to an input. If the sales go up, the cost should go up too. If they don't, then that is a red flag in your model. Now that we have run the numbers, the next step is to make sense of them. Let us bring it all together with the final step, which is the output. Let's talk about step number three, which is the outputs. In financial modeling language, it is also called the summary tab. Here is where your story comes together. You create a clean summary tab with elements like monthly profit, break even point, and the cash runway. You can add visual aids like simple charts, traffic lights, and red flags for spotting negative cash balance. Also, adding a balance check, for example, a check on the balance sheet where you make sure that the assets is equal to liabilities plus equity. This helps spot issues immediately. So now that your model is already built, how would you explain this in an interview setting? Let's next talk about how to turn all of this into a confident, structured answer in an actual interview. Here is how you present your approach with clarity and confidence. You could say something on the lines of I use a three-part structure: inputs, process calculations, and outputs. Then walk through it. I define assumptions like price, volume, and upfront cost, all organized on a separate assumptions tab with sources. Next, I build calculations that flow logically from the assumptions or the inputs, projecting revenue, cost, and EBITDA. Finally, I summarize the key outputs like cash flow and break even on a clean dashboard for easy decision making. Next, you can add a layer that most people forget. You could say something on the lines I also include version controls, balance checks, and a scenario planning toggle in my model. If you want to go one step further, you could mention a past mistake and how you learned from it. For example, I once forgot to link net income to retained earnings in my model. Now I always build a retained earnings roll forward for checks and imbalances. This shows that you learn from your mistakes, and that is powerful. Interviewers don't want perfection. They want people who think clearly and are ready to improve. Financial modeling is about structure and not complexity. It is how you think and not about how many Excel formulas you know. So the best answers are built just like your model, one step at a time. Remember the IPO framework. Start with solid inputs, build logical processes and calculations, and finally present clear decision ready outputs. Let me know in the comments below what is your favorite financial modeling tip. Also, do visit our website www.fpnaprofessionals.com or scan the QR code here for a bunch of free resources including books, courses, and cheat sheets on FP&A. Do like our channel and subscribe for more FP&A videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.